Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday, June 28th, 2026 writing reading class. Hope you had a good week. Let's go ahead and get started. Just give me a one in the chat room to let me know you can hear me okay. Perfect. And so we'll start off with our quote, then we'll get into some expansion of that, a reading with the quiz. We'll talk about some vocabulary, talk about some theories for good writing, and then we'll introduce a new book. Alice, can you read the quote over on the left side?
Don't hide your scars. They make you who you are.
Excellent. And this was a quote by Frank Sinatra. Now, what does Frank mean by this quote? Don't hide your scars. They make you who you are. Anyone have an idea what he's referring to? What does he mean by scars? Ken, any thoughts?
Maybe don't hide who you are. Like, don't hide your personality.
And what do you think the scars would be?
I think the scars is what you feel, what you think about stuff.
Well, when we think about a scar, what is a scar? Why do people get scars?
Because they got hurt.
Okay. All right. So if we think about what scars is in this meaning, if it's something that caused you to get hurt, why would he say that not to hide them? If it was
Hmm?
some if it was something that caused us to get hurt, why would he say not hide them? Alice, any thoughts?
Maybe you can learn something from this.
Okay. Can you explain more?
Mm, like a scar is like you get hurt and Um, so like if you have a mistake, you can learn things from this mistake and next time you won't make this.
And this changes your personality. Is that right?
Yes.
Very good. So what Frank Sinatra is talking about is not necessarily personality, but something specific about the personality, which is the things that have happened to you that sometimes we might think that these are the things that hurt us. And because they hurt us, we've changed our personality. But he's saying that these things are important. This is an important part of who you are. It defines who you are. And so don't be ashamed of them. Don't be ashamed if something happened that caused you pain, whether it was something that you did personally or something that was happening to you, because that is something that you can grow from, that you can learn from. Very good. Well, today we are going to be talking about Frank Sinatra. And if you're familiar with Frank Sinatra, then you'll be able to relate a little bit to this. Ethan, did you have a comment to add?
No, like I accidentally pressed it.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, follow along as I read. Frank Sinatra was one of the most popular entertainers of the 20th century, forging a career as an award-winning singer and film actor. Between 1943 and 1946, Sinatra's solo career blossomed as a singer, charted a slew of hit singles. The mobs of Bobby Soxer fans Frank Sinatra attracted with his dreamy baritone earned him nicknames as the Voice and the Sultan of Swoon. It was the war years, and there was a great loneliness, recalled Sinatra, who was unfit for military service due to a punctured eardrum. I was the boy in every corner drugstore who'd gone off drafted to war. That was all. As a founding member of the Rat Pack alongside Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop, Sinatra came to epitomize the hard-drinking, womanizing, gambling swinger, an image constantly reinforced by the popular press and Sinatra's own albums. With his modern edge and timeless class, even radical youth of the day had to pay Sinatra his due. As Jim Morrison of The Doors once said, no one can touch him. With a show business career that spanned more than 50 years, Sinatra continued mass appeal can be best be explained in the man's own words. When I sing, I believe. I'm honest. In 2010, the well-received biography Frank, The Voice, was published by Doubleday and penned by James Kaplan. The writer released a sequel to the volume in 2015, Sinatra, The Chairman, marking the musical's icon centennial year. Now, let's see if we can answer some questions based on the reading. Number one, I want you to see if you can find why was Sinatra so famous for with women during the time of war? Secondly, what made Sinatra popular to even youth when he was in his 50s? And then question number three, was Sinatra more famous as a singer or a movie star, and why? I'll copy all three questions over to the chat room right now that you can refer to, and then I'll go back to the reading so that you can find the answers. Once you found all the answers, you can go ahead and raise your hand, or we'll start to discuss the answers once the time is up. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the questions. Ethan, let's start with you for question number one. Why was Sinatra so famous with women during the time of the war?
Um, like, maybe because he's, um, making fairness to them.
Making fairness to them? I'm not sure I understand. What do you mean?
Making, men, um, like I don't remember.
Okay. Alice, do you remember? Were you able to find this?
Uh, I remember that like he he said like there the it's the war time and mm, he he um he is fair to every people.
No, no, it wasn't that. Angela, did you catch it?
Not really.
Ken?
Gnarly.
Okay, everyone, take a look. Okay, let's go back into the reading and look at the second paragraph. So in the second paragraph, what does this mean? When it says, I was the boy in every corner drugstore who had gone off to war, drafted by the war. What does that mean? How could Frank Sinatra be every boy that could gone off to war? What is that referencing? Why would women think of him as every boy that had gone off to war? What does that have to do with the loneliness, the great loneliness? Anyone? Angela?
Um,
Well, Angela, if yeah, if we as we see in the picture here, Frank Sinatra is a young boy, but as we learned, he was not sent to the military because of a condition, a punctured eardrum. So if we think about the word loneliness, but yet he's there and he's singing, how do people feel about him?
he would they would think that they're helping them feel not lonely.
Why? How do they think of him as? What do they think of him as?
A friend.
No? Ethan?
Like a very famous person and maybe a leader.
No? So Frank Sinatra is the same age as many moms' sons who had gone off to war. So when they look at Frank Sinatra, when they see him singing, it reminds them of their son or their sons. So when he says he was the boy in every corner drugstore, it's referring that women would be able to relate to him. Mothers who had lost their son because they were no longer there, they were in war, could relate to their son through Frank Sinatra. So he played a very important role in helping people feel not feel lonely during their time where they were not sure if their son was going to return from the war. It was a very lonely time because many mothers had lost their sons because of the war that was occurring. Okay, next question number two. What made Sinatra popular to even youth when he was in his 50s? Ken?
Mm, mm, mm.
Do you need some help?
Hmm. I Where else?
I'm sorry?
Mm,
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask another student. Callis?
mm, 'cause he sang many songs.
And why would that make him famous even with youth?
Uh, 'Cause I think famous people have said that no one can touch him.
What does that mean?
Like Sinatra's singing ability is very high.
Okay, so he was a very talented artist. What else? What else did we
Um,
learn about him?
and Sinatra said that when I sing, I believe I'm honest.
And how would that make him popular?
I'm not sure.
Anyone else can add some additional things here? So we know that other celebrities agreed with him. or I felt that he was a talented singer. Well, we just learned something in the last paragraph as well, or in the first question. We also learned that he had a large influence on people's opinions of him because of what he was able to offer during these times of need for mothers. There's something else too. Angela?
Maybe because he's also very kind.
No, let's go back to the reading for a second. I want you to look at the third paragraph. And I want you to think about how this relates to youth. How could the third paragraph connect with youth? Ethan? Any thoughts?
Maybe because he was already very good at doing that, like Jim Morrison said of the Doors said, like no one can touch him.
Well, we already talked about that aspect, but my question was, how does the third paragraph relate to youth? So if we think about youth, if we think about teenagers or young adults, many times young adults are in a time where they are exploring or they are, not always doing necessarily the safest or the most mature things because they're still developing. So what we learn about here is with his group, the Rat Pack, they were known as these hard drinking, womanizing, gambling swingers, these traits that many times youth might possess of not being polished or not being doing the most correct thing in society. So because they saw Frank Sinatra doing it, they could also, and they were probably doing it too. There was a connection there that they could relate to Frank Sinatra, even though Frank Sinatra was much older than them. Because of the behavior, there was probably a link into how they felt about Frank Sinatra because he was similar. Okay, question number 3. What was Frank Sinatra more famous as a singer or a movie star? And why? Angela,
I think singer
why would you say that?
because he has helped the women's and his solo career was blossomed as the singer.
It was very good. It was the start of his career. It was also the end of his career as well. Even though he had a career in movies, he was always known as a singer first, despite his variety of different other things that he did. All right. All right. Now we had some vocabulary words from the text. I would like for you to use 2 of the vocabulary words and complete a sentence or 2, no more than 2 sentences. We have slew, mob, epitomize, penned, and centennial. Think about the part of speech for each one so you know how to use it. Slew is a noun. Mob is also a noun. Epitomize is a verb. Penned is a verb. And centennial is an adjective. Once you have a sentence or 2, you can go ahead and submit to me privately in the chat room, and then we'll take a look at your sentences and discuss. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the sentences coming in. If you want to submit, just go ahead and start to wrap up before we move on. So let's see. Ken, you wrote, if you were a teacher at our school and you had a mob as students. I think you want to say of students. The best way to solve this problem is to ask the principal to put Ben in your class because he is the epitomized example of a role model. Okay, all right. So some good ideas here that you're working with. Now the whole sentence, if you were a teacher and had a mob of students, this is your dependent clause. Now you don't need to put a comma yet because that's the if statement of a conditional. The next part is the result of the conditional. The best way, and as you said to explain, is to put Ben in your class. Now, because he is the epitomize. Now, epitomize is the verb. What you're wanting to use is epitome. Epitome is the noun form. So let's see if we can create it with the verb, though, however. We could say because he epitomizes, and now it's the verb, the example of a role model. So you can still use the word not as a noun form, but as a verb form by just putting an S on it since it's third person, and then we're fine to go there. And then your is Y-O-U-R. But nice work creating your sentence here. Good job. Angela, you wrote, Bill has been an epitomize for a class project and has penned the school's centennial song. Okay, so tell me a little bit what you meant in the first half of it. What did you mean by that, Angela?
He was the example for the class project.
What about him was the example? What did he do that was the example?
He
So you said he penned the school's centennial song, but why would he have penned the centennial song? What was so great about him?
he's the president's.
Okay, so as a president, maybe he's representing the quality of student, what a student should be like, but we need to explain what is it that made him the epitome of something. So maybe you could change this and say something like Bill is the epitomizes, similar what I did with Ken, epitomizes a good student. Because remember, we have to explain what makes him the person that people want to epitomize. So this could make sense. And has penned the school centennial song. Okay. And what does pen mean?
Rope and like.
Well, penned would be to name it. He named the school song, not necessarily wrote it, but just named it. Why would he name the school song? What would cause him, or what would give him that position where he could name the school song? You could say maybe here what you had mentioned earlier about the president, since he was the school president. So with the school president, now we could understand that he has some sort of power or clout over something. So he has that ability to be able to do that because of his position. But now your definitions, if I didn't know what they meant, then I could still I could understand them. And that's the goal when we work with the vocabulary, is to make it clear enough for the reader that even if they didn't know what the meaning of the word is, they can get the concept of it through the additional details that you add to it that give us hints. All right, good. Ethan, you wrote, he penned a story about a person defeating a group of mobs. Now, similar question for you, Ethan. Why is this person, because penned means to write or to name something, but it's not the actual name. Can you give me some details to would let me know why he was the one to do this, whoever this he is?
Like he was the author and he wrote this story.
Okay, that makes sense. Why don't we say the author who wrote the story penned. Now we can pen something about a specific, like a specific name. So why don't we say something like the author who wrote the story about a person defeating a group of mobs penned it. And what name do you think it should be? What's the name of the story?
Um, a brave person.
Penned it, the brave person. Okay, good. That would work. Nice. And so we just by adding that, now we have a better idea of what you mean by the word penned. Alice, you wrote, there are slew of people are mobbing them in a circle. Now let's look at the grammar here. There is a slew. Or if you said there are slews, that would work. You can, but we have to have some subject verb agreement here. There are slews of people mobbing them in a circle. What did you mean mobbing?
Like they circled them.
Okay, that's not what mobbing means. And our word actually was mobs.
Oh.
So let's see how we maybe can make yours work. You could say there was a slew of mobs. And what were these people doing? There were slews of mobs, we could say, who circled what? What are they
Mm,
circling around?
mm, like some good people.
Okay, well, let's maybe make something that's more likely in reality. Maybe celebrities. That tends to happen with celebrities. I'm going to change this because of who we're talking about. Slew is actually much more appropriate. There is a slew of mobs. We could say slew of mobs circling around the celebrity. And that works. And that works and makes more sense for the use of those two words. All right. Now take a look at this sentence everyone. I want to know, what are the different parts of speech for this root word success? He was successful and successfully succeeded to solve the problem with success. In the first use of success, which is successful, what is it? What part of speech is it? What part of speech is that? Is that a noun, verb, adverb, adjective, preposition, interjection, article? What part of speech is successful? Angela?
Adjective.
It's an adjective. Now, in the second one we see successfully, what is that? What is successfully in the sentence? Ethan? Any idea, Ethan?
No.
Ken?
Not so much difference.
Well, if we typically see an adverb, this is when we add ly. Successfully is an adverb. It's success in the adverb form, successfully. What is succeeded? What is succeeded?
Succeeded is a past tense.
What is it? Is it a noun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, interjection,
It's a
article?
verb.
It's a verb. So we have successful, an adjective, successfully, an adverb, and succeeded, a verb. What is success? Ethan, what is success?
Success a noun.
Correct. Success is a noun. So as you notice, many times in English, we can take a word, we can take the root word, and we can actually use it in many different forms. Many times when we form the adverb form, we add ly to create the adverb. But the adjectives and the use of the noun may sometimes be slightly different. But that's sometimes what's exciting about language, is that it can be the same word in many different formats. We're going to try an exercise where you decide between a few nouns or adjectives or adverbs, and you decide what part of speech is the correct one we should use and which one from the list we should use. In our first set, we have adjectives. We have afraid, happy, nervous, confident, and bored. If we look at the first sentence, which of these is the correct one to complete the sentence? She gave the speech, hoping no one could notice her shaking hands. Ken?
Nervous.
In what form? Nervously, correct. Nervously, because the adverb comes right before the verb, which is gave. She nervously gave the speech. Let's try another one. Number 2. This time, Alice, you try. The students were overcome with during the 6-hour lecture.
The students who were overcome was
Which of the adverbs do you think is best to use?
mm, um
Just the adjective, not asking about the form, but just of those five adjectives, which one do you
bored.
think is
Bored.
Okay. Now, in the sentence,
Boring?
boring is also an adjective. Now look at where the placement of the words are. We say with is the preposition. What always comes after a preposition? In many cases, to create a prepositional phrase, what part of speech would you use?
Adverb?
No, we'd use the noun. Now,
Oh,
adverbs become before or after verbs. So what's the noun form of bored?
I'm not sure.
Anyone know the noun form of bored? The noun form of bored? That's boredom. Boredom. The students were overcome with boredom during the 6-hour lecture. We need the noun form. Angela, try the next one. Number 3, he thanked his supporters when he won the award.
Confidently.
I'm sorry?
Uh, confidently.
Well, you win an award. How would you feel if you win something?
Happy.
Okay. So which form of happy do we need here?
Adverb.
Okay. And what's the adverb of happy?
Happy.
Happy,
Happily.
happily. Right. So what's the correct answer?
He happily thanked his supporters when he won the.
Correct. And then Ethan, try number 4. Many peoples of spiders is really strong.
Afraidness.
So you're looking for a noun form? What's the noun form of afraid? It doesn't include the word afraid. The noun form is different.
Fear?
Fear. So the sentence is,
Many people's fear of spiders is really strong.
very good. Yes. So we see that sometimes it might be a word that's similar, but in some cases, the noun form might be completely different. But there's always some type of verb, or some type of verb usually has a noun form, an adverb form, and an adjective form. I want you to see if you can create 2 forms for me. Real quick before we finish, take a root word and include at least 2 forms of speech with the same word, same root word. Think about the correct meaning of the part of speech. And then once you have your sentence, you can submit it to me privately in the chat room, and then we'll take a look and discuss. Okay, we're going to take a look at the examples coming in. If you want to submit, just go ahead and quickly do so before we end class. Ken, you wrote I quickly ran away from home, hoping not to be late for school. Now, I'm going to suggest instead of ran away from home, to run away is actually to imply that you're never going to return home. What would be better for you to say is I
Left.
left from home. Yeah.
No, not left from home. I quickly left home.
Yep, you could say left from home or left home, either one. Yep, both of those would be fine. And that has the right implication. Wow, Leo really can run fast as light. This should be
Well,
lightning. But what are your two words that are the same?
fast and quickly. No,
Good.
it should be, yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. Quickly and fast is same.
And what is quickly?
Quickly is adverb and fast is adjective.
Very good. Excellent. All right, let's take a look at our next writer. Angela, you wrote, let's see here. You wrote, Bill slowly opened his homework book. Bill was really slow when he was opening his homework book. Very good. Those work. Ethan, you wrote, he is very intelligent. He always, let's add an and in there because we have two complete sentences. And he always shows his intelligence when something bad is happening. How about we do this? And he always shows his intelligent. And then how about we say when something bad is happening, he always solves it intelligently. And then your sentence isn't a run-on sentence. But good use of intelligent and intelligently. And then finally, let's take a look at Alice. Alice, you wrote, the case is a real thing that happened before. She is really fast like a cheetah. Which two words were you using that were similar? Oh, really and real? Okay. Okay, that works. Good. All right, everyone. So you have a new book for this week, which is Dice's Song. Here's a little bit about the author and a short summary of the book. This week, I want you to think about your new vocabulary words and the meaning and usage of root words in different parts of speech. There's one for every single word that we have. This week, I'd like for you to think about think about music. What does music do for you? What are your favorite songs? And why? You have 7 days to submit that to the form. Write no more than 400 words, and then you'll be able to receive some edits within the 7 days. On the page afterwards, you'll find the words phrases with the words of the day to complete and the answer key. If you'd like to get started with the exercises, just go ahead and click on the link here in the chat room to get started. But any questions as we wrap up for today? All right, then I will see you all next week. Have a good week. Bye now.
Have a nice day and see ya.
Bye now. See you.
Have a
Have
nice
a nice
week.
day.
You too. Bye.